Yo, what is up guys? I am back again with the Mechanics series. Today we are covering the Musty. If you guys wouldn't mind dropping a like, a subscribe, maybe a little comment here and there, whatever we do here, right? It's much appreciated. But without wasting more time, let's get into it and learn how to Musty. Alright, so I just found myself here in free play. I'm going to show you guys how I like to get my Musty flicks and kind of the thought process of how I get them. So the first type of Musty flick we're going to do is one from the ground where we dribble it. So look here, right? If I spawn the ball in my head like this, right? We're gonna learn how to do a musty flick. Just like that. There we go, right? So, look, if you guys noticed, right, that wasn't a classic musty, and classic musty is a little bit different. Classic musty, you're gonna tilt forward and then do it like that, right? But for the purpose of this video, I want you guys to use a musty flick that's gonna translate into the other flicks I'm going to demonstrate here, and this is how I like to get most musty flicks, right? So I'll get into why, but the jump backwards into the musty flick is the one I tend to use the most often for just about everything. So that's what we're going to try and learn today. So the front musty, again, like I said, it's great. You know, looks cool when you hit it. But for, again, like I said, the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to show you guys the backwards musty from the ground, okay? So here we go, right? So the first prereq that you need is, can you dribble in a straight line? Can you do that? Because if you can, well, you're on your way with step one, okay? So if you guys need help with your ground dribbles, I've already made a video on that. I'll give you guys a card right now, and they're at the top right, if you guys need more help with your ground dribbles, okay? But that's what you need. You need to be able to ground dribble in a straight line. Alright, now that you can dribble in a straight line, this is the second step. So in the second step, we're covering basically the jump, right? So the first thing I need to get out of the way, right, is just a big tip for any type of flick, right, is if you want the flick to stick to your car and not like fly off, right, it needs to not be bouncing. So like I said, if it's bouncing like this and then you try and do a flick or something, it's not going to work, okay? But if you can just catch it real quick and then let it stick. So let me get myself a bounce dribble, right? So I'm going to push it to myself, boom. And then it's going to take a few hits before it sticks, right? And now if I jump, it will stick to the car, right? It won't move a whole lot, okay? So we're going to combine those two tips, and then we're going to try and tilt back with the ball. So watch, the ball's stuck, jump, tilt back, okay? Just jump and tilt back, right? All right, and I probably glossed over this just because I probably assumed that everyone knows how to do it, but a musty, at least a backwards musty, right? Because this is kind of important. Is you know, like, not only, okay, there's the front musty, which looks like this, right? That's a front musty, right? But for the purpose of this tutorial, we need to know how to do it backwards musty, okay? Which is, again, it's like that, but this is a forward musty, right? Where you push the car forward past that halfway point and then tilt it back up, right? But if you want to do a backwards musty, it's just the opposite. So you jump, tilt back, and then just flip back, you know, do a back flip once you reach that threshold of over, you know, once your car is past the 90-degree line. They'll just do a musty flick like that, right? Tilt back. There you go, backwards musty flick, okay? I mean, the rest at this point is just the flick part, right? But I'm going to break this down into two different flicks. Okay, so I'm going to call it, number one, the musty pop, okay? And then the musty flick, all right? I'm going to show you the difference. So a musty pop pretty much is just when, instead of the car, like, flicking through the ball, it kind of just pops it up, right? So what I mean by that is, let's try this, right? Boom. Okay. See that? Kind of how like it just pops up. So I didn't really flick it per se. It just kind of like popped, right? Let me do another one. Boom, like that, and then boom, pops up, right? So it was less of a flick and more like a pop. One more time. Boom, like that. See, more of a pop than a flick. Okay, and then the second musty is the flick musty, right? And this is just one where the ball rolls off of the car more, right? Alright, so hopefully you guys can kind of see the difference between the two. One kind of pops the ball up more, and then one uses more of the car, and then and then it rolls through the body of the car, right? So I'm going to show you guys how I do the musty flick first, and then I'm going to show you guys how to do the musty pop. But for right now, we're just going to focus on the musty flick. Alright, so I've slowed the game down a bit now, so that I could maybe show this a little bit better. So, in order to do the musty flick, or the one that, you know, rolls off the car, right? You have to keep the body of the car pretty close to the ball. Like, you know, you basically need to use the whole hitbox, right? So from the beginning to the end of the hitbox, you need to use all of it throughout the flick, right? So in order to do that, we need to, like, You know, by the time the flick comes up, we need to be able to use the back end of the car and then move it through the front, you know, so it's like one fluid motion, right? So try and tilt it back and then, you know, right, and then use the majority of the car to flick it up, right? Alright, so hopefully you guys can see what I mean by that, by like using the entire, like I said, the entirety of the car, right, from the back all the way to the front, right? So as long as you guys can keep really close to the ball, like keep it close, like I said, throughout the majority of the flick, right? Just stay kind of close on it and then use the whole car. There you go. Right, then, you know, you're close enough, then you can use the whole car, the whole hitbox, right, throughout the whole flick. And then it makes that, like, flick motion, I guess, right? You just kind of move through the ball. Alright, and then just another quick note that I kind of forgot to mention, right, is you guys do not boost throughout the entire backwards musty, right? Like, when you guys are going to go for the backwards, right, don't just boost the whole time, right? That's not, that won't work, right? Because what's going to happen is every time you want to do a musty flick, you're going to just, like, either boost past it or just not have any control over it, right? So you cannot be boosting the whole time, right? Because, like I said, as you rotate throughout the whole rotation, right, you're gonna be boosting up and then down, and then, like, you know, there's just too much forces going on there, right? So in order for the musty to be effective, you need to, like, feather throughout the whole thing. So boom, and that was good. That didn't have to feather, but this one, let's try this again. Right, you see how I'm feathering it? Because again, if you boost the whole thing, you're just gonna go all out of whack, right? It doesn't work. Okay, and then the second version of the musty flick is the musty pop, alright? And the way I get the musty pop is I kind of do like a cancel, right? I'll cancel the musty flick. So let me show you what that looks like. Alright, I don't know if you guys could kind of see that. Like, there's a little bit, like, I kind of delayed it a little bit, right? The flick. And then if I were to try to explain the musty flick cancel, right? I mean, it's pretty simple, right? You just tilt back, and then for every backwards flick force that you do, like you know, because if you're doing a backwards flick, right? So behind you, right? So when it's moving behind you, you just gotta, you know, push the stick back up, right, to counteract the force, right? So normally, if I do it normally, I can hold it down, no big deal, right? But if I want to cancel it, right, I gotta push back up if I want to cancel, right? And that's kind of how I get my musty pops and or like just musty flip cancels, right? Boom, and then, you know, delay it. So with a little bit of practice, you guys can get with all the steps in order, you guys can get one that looks like this, right? Okay, so, I mean, really, you guys, that's about it, pretty much, for the ground to backwards musty, right? And the rest of it's just practice and experimentation, right? Just have a little bit of fun with it, and just experiment, right? And, you know, just keep practicing. You know, I know for sure, at least this first part, where you just jump and tilt back might be kind of weird, right? But like I said, you guys can do it. And, again, like I said, make sure to keep the car close, use the whole car, right? Remember all the tips I gave you, and you guys will get one. Alright, you guys, so that is the ground bit done here, but now we're going to move on to the air, or just anything pretty much off the wall, okay? I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown of how I learned how to musty flick off the walls. So the key thing with learning how to do a musty off the wall is learning, like, how much time you have on the jumper, and learning the, you know, the air roll adjustments needed to make it work, right? So let me show you what I mean with that, right? So I'm going to roll up, okay? And pretty much all you got to do is roll straight, pop, turn, and then go for it, right? So let me do it again, because that was kind of bad, but here we go. Pop, turn, musty. So let me break down here how to do that real quick, okay? So we're going to roll it up, okay? Roll. Give a little pop. I mean, it doesn't have to pop that high. Like, honestly, when you guys start out, don't pop it really high. Just make it soft. So boom, and just a little pop like that, right? Some kind of manageable, right? You don't need to go too crazy with it, because like, even just a little bit like that, right? You don't want to put too much height into it, because then you're going to overcomplicate it, okay? So once again, very, very soft pop. Boom. Just enough for you to turn out and then do a musty flick, right? Just like that, right? And so, what you do is you add it all together, and you do pretty much everything like I just said, right? But we're trying to do it in the air now, right? So as long as you can just go, like I said, straight. Super duper straight, very, very low pop. Okay, that was a bit high, but like, you know what I mean? But learning to turn around, right? and do the musty flick, right? And make sure that you do it in a timely manner so that you don't lose your flip, right? Because you only have 1.5 seconds to do a musty, right? When you jump here, jump, you only have 1.5 seconds to make those micro adjustments so you can do a musty flick, right? So yeah, pretty much as long, so for right now, just focus on like getting some type of flick. So boom, turn, and then touch the ball, right? To some degree, right? And then once you get more comfortable with that, you can try getting a little bit closer to the ball and having and use the whole car, right? So boom, and then try and get a little bit closer. I'll admit it's a bit hard to keep it really close, and then flick it off the bigger car there, but you know, just experiment, right? Boom, bang, and then you know, try and keep it close if you can. But that's how I learned, right? This is exactly how I learned how to get stuff off the wall. It's just this: go straight, boom, jump, turn, musty flick. That's how I learned to get stuff off the wall, right? And then what you can do is, if you want to do off the wall musties, like off the sidewall here, right? It's the same exact logic, literally exact same logic, right? But we're just coming on a bit of an angle, pop out, jump, musty flick, right? It's the same idea, literally the same idea. It's just at an angle instead of dead on, right? I just find dead on to be a little bit easier when you're starting out, but then we're gonna ramp it up. Little pop out, turn, right there. Oh, there we go. See, that was a nice off the wall musty. So pretty much like it's, you know, the timing of it, and then, you know, getting good control over those micro adjustments in a timely manner. That's how you're gonna get the musty flick. Okay. So if you ever wondered, like, hey, how do these guys get these big musty flicks across the wall like that? That's how they do it, right? Is they do it like that. There we go. Okay, and then the last and the big boy of this tutorial, right, is now we're gonna do a ceiling musty, right? And if you guys want a good ceiling musty, you guys have to, like I said, follow the same steps, right? But the logic, think of the logic, right, of where I was talking about, right, where I talked about using the entirety of the car, right, throughout the musty flick. The same thing applies when you're doing the ceiling shot. So when you guys go for like a ceiling musty, there's a lot of things going on, right? But let me just show you, right? This is me trying to do a musty. All right, hopefully you guys got a good look at that, but just in case you didn't, we're gonna go back to slow-mo and do it again. Okay, so I didn't hit the musty into the goal, but I really need you guys to pay attention to how I'm like closing the gap between me and the ball before I go for the musty flick, right? Because in order for the ball to move throughout the entire hitbox, you need to get closer, right? So here, I want to start off pretty far away from the ball, right? But I'm gonna, even though it's farther away, I'm gonna get closer, and then I'm gonna tilt back. Like I'm pre-adjusting the car for the flick, right? So that by the time that I am flicking, I'm like right on top of the ball. Does it make sense? So here, boom, and then, you know what I mean? So that's the only way you can get the thing to go through the car, right? Let's look again real quick. I know I'm pausing right here and it's gonna get in the way here a bit, but like look, like before I want to, like if I want to do a ceiling musty here, I have to like get a little bit closer and then time it so that I can get the back end of the car. You know, let me show you. So boom, right, little micro adjustment, right, and then look, right. See how close I am to the ball? I'm very close to it, but I have to get closer to it and learn how to control the car, so that by the time I get close to it, I can start tilting back and time it so that I can get the flick, right, like that. And then it does the flick, which, you know, when you see that, like, how do people do that? And that's how they do it, right? Is you have to kind of close the gap, get closer to the ball, and then make it so you get right in that sweet spot that ends up using the entirety of the car, right? And that's how people get the flick, or, you know, how they do that. Here's another quick tip, you guys. So if you can't adjust, like, in the air for the hit, like, what a lot of people like to do is they'll get one touch. So here, you get one touch, and then they'll tip back, right? That's something you can do as well, is get the one touch. So again, do it one more time. They come up, and then as they fall down, they get one touch before they start to tilt back, right? All right, I mean, that's basically how you do a backwards musty from just about anywhere. But to cap off the video, I'm gonna do just for fun, we're gonna do a ceiling musty double. Alright, you guys, I really hope you found that helpful today. If it did, leave a like, leave a comment or something, let me know. The Musty is a super fun mechanic, you guys, so I really am rooting for you guys to get this down. But otherwise, that's all I got for you today. Bye.